Astrology, the procession of time, and the calendar are all connected. They're connected intricately. It's even gone into our myths and our sagas and our tragedies, and the not only in science but also they've done it to the stars, so that we even call these people stars upon the earth, and we look to them and we'll begin imitating them because we'll make them our icons. When the scripture says we're supposed to be conformed to the image of Jesus Christ, and the only way to do that is by being pre-bound inside the light, which is actually what predestination means. So we're bound inside the light of God. There's only one light, there's only one God. We are a part of Him. He loves us intimately, as a man loves his wife, and He breathes and speaks the word into our life, and He breathes and speaks, and that's why we have that word, born from above, anothen, or that fiery logos that whooshed down like cloven tongues of fire, right? And the spirit, that air filled the room, and then they were given a distinction. If you look up that word cloven, and a partition separating the information by a miraculous power, and that's why we are given an ability to speak a new language and to sing, as it were, a new song. And it says that in Zephaniah 3:9, it says that God will return to us a pure language, and that's what they say in Acts chapter 2, that was the fulfillment of the writing in Joel, that our children would prophesy, and I can't remember, someone would dream dreams. It's been a little bit since I don't have it all memorized, so that's why it helps to just read. But sometimes the way I connect thoughts, it's not always easy for me to read, especially the KJV, which many find confusing. So I just try to convey it the best I can for people and help them. And I hope that it does help. So that's the picture of the two witnesses who call fire from heaven. That's from Zechariah 4, where it speaks of and then right before that, Zechariah 3, the priest has a vision, there's a vision where I think his name was Joshua, I can't remember, but he's the priest, and Satan is accusing him before the throne of God. And then we go on to Zechariah chapter 4, and we see the king, and this is the two witnesses, the priest and the king. They are the two witnesses. And the eyes of the Lord are the seven candlesticks. And we find the seven lampstand menorah, which is the candlesticks, we see it in Revelation chapter 1. So 7 in the word Sheba, which means to take an oath, like the Queen of Sheba or Bathsheba, the House of Sevens, or the Queen of Sevens. Well, the temple was certainly the House of Sevens, or the Queen of Sevens, because that's where we find the seven lampstand menorah. And that's connected to the seven stars. And whenever we see 7, that was always known as a 1. So it's one thing, just like it was one lampstand, or the assemblies that were spread out. It says it's the 7 assemblies, and that makes sense that they would be the eyes of God, because they're the believers. They're the ones who are preaching and out there doing truth. So it's one, just like it says 7 things in Ephesians chapter 4, but it says one about them all 7 times. One Lord, one faith, one baptism, one Spirit, one Lord, one Father of all, who's in you all. So that is the king and the priest, because God is operating within us. He has made us a priesthood, he has made us a kingdom of priests. Kingdom means king's domain. So the dominion of the king would be through his priests. They translate it kings and priests in Revelation chapter 1 and in Revelation chapter 5. But that's actually looking back to Exodus chapter 9. And that's why we find it says a peculiar treasure. And Peter says a peculiar people. That's because they're quoting the same places. So I hope that this has been helpful, and I hope that you've learned more about it and the concept of God and his true making of the planets, stars, and the moon, and all of the different satellites, that we would be able to see them in a cyclical procession, and it would be according to an exact fulfillment and playing out, just like that growing process. But they corrupted and they adopted a mythology, and the mythology might have been useful to help them keep track of certain movements of the stars and planets and the sun, but they started worshiping them rather than just using it to tell a story. They began to use it and worship it as though it were God. So anyways, they believe that the one God is this king or the pharaoh or the priest at the top, so they can't let other people believe that they are indwelled by the Spirit of God, because that wouldn't be useful to the monarchies or the oligarchies who look to one man and worship him. So anyways, I hope this helps, and I'll see you on the next video.